Today I decide, what are Shakespeare's 5 best plays?
Almost everything. Production.
Hello everyone, and today this happened.
How do you do? Hi.
Good day.
To you?
As you all know, I have been promising here recently a Alone Shakespeare episode, Part 3, and it's finished. It is complete. I could have released it this week, but I got to thinking about it, and I realized that July 4th is coming up pretty soon. And I thought, I have a lot of videos that are coming up that are going to be really good. We could just have a nice, quiet week this week, and then release them on July 4th, and that way it can be a huge celebration. I'll also admit it seems like holiday episodes do a lot better on this channel than others. You'd think like during Christmas time you wouldn't get as many views because people be off doing other stuff, but that's not true. You actually get more views during those days. I don't know why, but it just seems to be a fact. So, the new Alone Shakespeare episode will be coming out next Thursday. But this Thursday, I thought I would go ahead and tell you all my 5 favorite Shakespeare plays. And this was no easy decision, but I think I've narrowed it down. Othello is one of Shakespeare's lesser-known plays. It's one of the few that star an African American, at least as a major character, and at least debatably. I mean, I'm sure there will be a lot of people that fight me over that in the comments. Yeah, probably the original actor was not African American. I think that's pretty much confirmed at this point. But anyways, regardless of all that, this is one of Shakespeare's best plays, in my opinion. You have the villain Iago, which is the greatest villain in all of his plays. And Othello presents a pretty interesting tragic character. I think it's his obsession that people are really able to get behind, that really interests people. And it's something that I've always tried to incorporate into my own stories, that feeling of obsession in the character. I think people really get around that very well. A Midsummer Night Dream is a play that's very personal to me because I actually starred in it. It was in my high school years, and I played the character of Puck. It was a fun play to be a part of. I don't know how well I did, but it was one of my first Shakespeare plays I ever participated in. And I had a great time, and I think that's why it ranks so highly for me. And something about the character of Puck also really speaks to me. There's something about his mischievous nature. I think he's the best character in the play, personally. But most of you probably are aware of A Midsummer Night Dream. It is one of his more popular ones. But if you're not, go check it out, just watch it. It's a classic fairy tale. There's no question about it. It's just right up there with Peter Pan and Mary Poppins. You'll enjoy this one, I'm sure. I was originally going to put A Midsummer Night Dream as number 3, but then I got to thinking about it, and I realized I really like Much Ado About Nothing. I mean, I think more than any of his other plays in some ways. I think this is kind of one of my favorites, at least when it comes to having fun. Right? If I go to see Much Ado About Nothing, it's to have fun in comparison to some of them which are just meant to, be more philosophical and make you think. But, yeah, I mean, it's not exactly one of his most well-known plays, but I think people are starting to get around it a little more. I think a lot of people have started to like it here recently. And I can see why, because there isn't anything really wrong with it. If I could say anything against it, it's maybe during the scene with Beatrice. It doesn't really make sense that she's listening in on these people. But I don't know. I think as long as you directed it right, you could make it work. And really, it's just one of those plays that can be loved by both audiences, critics. Everyone just basically loves this play. I know Romeo and Juliet might seem like a cliched choice because most people know about Romeo and Juliet. They know the tragic story, and it's known as one of Shakespeare's great plays, but I don't know what to say. I do really enjoy this play. I've enjoyed it since I was a kid. And I know a lot of people don't like Romeo and Juliet as a couple. And, I mean, you might be right. I mean, they only really know each other for like one day and then they're married. But, I don't ever really blame them when I'm reading the play. Because I think about it and I'm like, it's really the family's fault. I mean, the family's the one that are like at war with each other. If they're the ones to blame for all the deaths, they're the ones to blame for Romeo and Juliet's suicide. If they had just been friends, none of this would have happened. Romeo and Juliet would have been able to get together and discuss things and figured out whether they liked each other. And maybe they would have. Maybe it really was true love. It's hard to say with that play, but I think they should have at least been given a chance. And probably coming as no surprise, Hamlet. I don't think there's any question about this. Hamlet is the greatest Shakespeare play. I agree with everyone who ever has said that it is, and I think most people seem to think that was his best play. And it's better than King Lear, and I'll tell you why it is better than King Lear. King Lear has a lot of things in it which have been done better in other Shakespeare plays. Iago is a better villain than Edward. And King Lear's a great king and all, but I don't think he's as interesting of a character as Hamlet. And there is just so much great about Hamlet. I mean, for one thing, I have always liked how ambiguous it is. It is open to so many different interpretations. Does Hamlet actually see a ghost? Or is Hamlet just crazy? Is the queen in on the murder that Claudius committed, the murder of Hamlet's father? There is just a lot of things to think about with Hamlet, and it really stays with you. This was the one that I read, and I was like, this is the best Shakespeare play. And it just, no question to me in my mind that this is his best. In fact, I think, even though all of these on this list were 4-star stories, and I probably, put a few more from William Shakespeare's library, like Julius Caesar and I guess King Lear too. But I would put a lot more on this list of which ones I think should get 4 stars. But this one is not just 4 stars. It's one of the greatest stories ever created. I mean, I don't know if I would say it was better than Don Quixote, because Don Quixote's longer, and it's not a play. It's the greatest play, for sure. And it's my favorite play, no question about it. But yeah, actually, one thing I wanted to say real quick at the end here was that was my original plan, doing Alone Shakespeare, was to do Hamlet. But I chose not to because I thought Hamlet's about 4 hours long, and I'm afraid that I would mess it up, and I don't want to. So I'll do a little lesser known but still good Shakespeare play, like The Two Gentlemen of Verona. But anyways, no question about it, Hamlet is my favorite Shakespeare play. And that is all. Remember, the new episode of Alone Shakespeare is July 5th, and if you'll excuse me, I have somebody I have to meet. Parting is such sweet sorrow.